It is 5:18 at KPEL. John, we've got Congressman Charles Boustany on the phone with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Congressman. How you doing?
Well, good afternoon. Good to be with you, Ken.
Same here, same here. And John Sutherland is sitting across from me, and that's kind of a scary sight.
Hey, John. Great to be with you also.
Hey, appreciate you being on the show. Adds a little class to this show, that's for sure.
So, Congressman, I saw the press release today, and I thought, wow, VA Lafayette, this is good news. And then I read further, and I turned pale. I really did.
Yep.
What's with these people?
Well, John, Ken, this is just another stunning example of incompetence on the part of the VA. Now, they knew who they were starting to contract with on this clinic, and this is the B campus. This is not the new construction. This is for temporary purposes in the short run, but for overflow and additional capacity down the line. They knew they were contracting with Our Lady of Lourdes, which has obviously a Catholic affiliation, and yet they went ahead and went through this and got into some issue with religious liberty language in the contract that became a problem for the VA. That's stunning incompetence. They should have known going ahead of time what they were dealing with. And the fact of the matter is, I've asked them to give me a legal citation on their decision because I want to know if it's just stunning incompetence or if it's something worse than that. And so we're going to get to the bottom of it. I've got the VA up here scrambling to get an answer to me, and I'm working, of course, with Senator Bitter on this as well. And frankly, we are furious. I mean, it is just one step after another with these guys. And it's not only here dealing with our clinics in Lafayette. You got this fiasco over there in Colorado with a hospital they're building.
Sure.
This agency is a disaster.
Well, Congressman, back in May, the VA announced it would issue a formal request for lease proposal, and we would have the temporary clinic at the end of summer 2015. So, like you said, either it's gross incompetence or they flat lied.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's exactly right. And but I can tell you, we're going to hold them accountable, and I'm not going to let up until we've seen the shovel in the ground on both the new construction as well as this B campus. And I'll tell you, we're not going to let up. We haven't let up. We have gotten through many hurdles with this incompetent agency, and we would not even have the possibility of a clinic if our office hadn't continued to stay on them despite a lot of odds. I am not going to let up. And I can tell you what's going to come next after this. It's going to be properly staffing this committee or clinic, even though we as Congress have provided more resources to hire doctors and nurses. Bottom line is, our veterans have earned this. They deserve the highest quality care and not a subpar system of care. Mm-hmm. That's also why we put the choice provision in the VA legislation that passed in August to let the vets vote with their feet. And the fact is, we had problems with that as the VA was implementing it. They were subverted, and we basically called them on a carpet on it and straightened them out on this. But I want our veterans to notify us if and when and how they're having problems with this choice provision. And that's what allows them to seek care in our local community in Lafayette rather than having to travel to Alexandria if a certain service is not available.
Congressman Boustany, we appreciate you being on. One of the things, I guess, when I'm looking at this, are there examples across the country of where the VA has like a Campus B that is affiliated or in a contract with something like a religious or, in this case, a church-affiliated hospital? I mean, are there other examples of this that you can point to and say, hey, guys, this is just crazy because you knew this going in? Are there other examples of this?
I don't know the answer to that, and that's one of the questions we posed to them as part of the question I've asked, and that is, all right, what is your legal basis for this decision at this point in time after you knew you were contracting with an organization affiliated with a church? And are there other examples around the country? I don't know the answer to that right offhand, but I'm going to find out.
Congressman, I've been to Lourdes many times, especially with members of my family in the ER and just long-term care. There's never been any pressure at all, to listen to any Catholic faith issues or anything that come in. They'll ask what your religion is. If you tell them no religion, nobody shows up to try to convince you to become Catholic. So I don't get the whole issue. Yeah, it's owned by a subsidiary, let's say, of the Catholic Church, but there's no proselytizing going on. So what's the problem?
Well, look, I can also attest to that as a patient who has been to Lourdes and as a physician who practiced there.
Right.
There's never been any pressure to proselytize. And so this, again, either it's stunning incompetence at the very least, or worse, it's some motive that they have that's perverse. Either way, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're not going to let up. And I'm demanding answers, as is Senator Vitter, and we will get answers on it. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. And by God, we're going to get that Campus B set up as quickly as possible to serve the veterans who deserve the best care while we go through the time of construction for the primary campus.
Well, one of the things, we applaud both you and obviously Senator Vitter, which you guys have been on the forefront championing issues for our veterans. And we said this earlier on the show. If anybody we owe a debt to in this country, it's got to be our veterans. I mean, we owe a collective debt. All of us, owe a debt to them. And this kind of shabby treatment, is this something, though, in your mind that is sort of a reflection of just the VA, Veterans Affairs itself, or because you're working on issues across other spectrum, is this something that is really indicative of this administration?
Well, we have seen this across the board with a number of agencies. Obviously, I've had a lot of experience in dealing with the IRS through the investigative work we did over the past 4 years with that. That's still ongoing. We're still dealing with incompetence at the IRS as well as deliberate evasion of Congress's prerogative and inquiry. Other agencies have been the same. The VA just seems to be particularly bad and maybe the worst, and that's saying a lot, although I think I'd put the IRS right up there with them. Other agencies, some areas seem to be better than others. But by and large, this administration has set in place a sort of common theme of arrogance when it comes to dealing with Congress, and arrogance with regard to the concerns of the American people. And this is a great deal. We have a great deal of concern about this. It's great cause to continue our oversight. We've seen this in other agencies, though, I have to admit.
Well, Congressman, we thank you for being with us today, and we applaud you and Senator Vitter for doing as much as you have for the vets. And I hope we can get to the bottom of this and get the VA and the VA Secretary to actually come through with the promises they made, and with Deputy Secretary Sloan Gibson making those promises in Lafayette.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he was there. We pressed to have the Cabinet Secretary himself go down. We have not been able to get him into Lafayette. I think he was in New Orleans a while back. Deputy Secretary Sloan Gibson was there. And I've had many conversations with him personally about all of this, and we're going to keep the pressure on. We're not letting up.
Congressman, thank you for being with us. I know you've got another appointment at 5:30, so we appreciate you being here, and best of luck in getting this moving forward again.
More information to come.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Man, I tell you what, when I saw this come in today, I seriously thought it was good news.
Right. That, because we're so used to hearing about this, and you know what, and thank goodness we've got people willing to step up to the plate and challenge this in Washington, D.C. to make sure that our veterans in this part of the state get taken care of, because this is unbelievable.
Not just our part of the state, every part of the state. And, not just our part of the state, our state. It's every state in the union. I mean, so many guys went into the military, put in 20, 30 years, knowing that they would have VA benefits after. Right. And I'll admit, many of them took advantage of educational benefits. But when it comes down to when you're 65 years old and you can't find another job and you need more money to pay for meds, and the VA clinic here sucks so bad you've got to go somewhere else for any kind of treatment, or as our friend Robert did, had to go to Houston to get an operation. Then they want to charge him like $9,000 for an ambulance ride to Houston, I think it was.
That's terrible.
So just, we've got to do something better for our vets. But anyway, we will be back. We've got a break coming up with Todd Starnes, some local news. We'll come back and answer some questions, answer phones for sure, because, John, the little green lights are all melting on my phone right now, so we'll have to take care of that. Thanks, John. Stick around. Coming up on 529 now. Remember, 232-1542 will be the number after this break, so hang on to your phone calls. Otherwise, you'll be hanging on for quite some period of time while we get rid of this break. So stick around. All of that's coming up. Todd Starnes next at KPEL.